In this video, I want to highlight why Cybertron Defense Scattershot is one of my favorite figures. First off, part of the reason he's one of my favorite figures is because of these giant freaking rocket launchers on his arms. I love how over the top this is, but I also love how simple it is. They are huge and boxy, but not in any kind of bad way, in my opinion. I think they look good. He also comes with this blaster, which is pretty funny because you'd think it would be kind of redundant given that he has giant rocket launchers attached to his arm, but it's a solid addition to the figure. He holds it well, it fits in well, and I'm definitely not complaining that they included it. This may or may not be fair, but part of the reason why I like Cybertron Defense Scattershot is probably because of how big of an upgrade he was over the original Scattershot. I remember getting this guy and being super disappointed at how small he was. He also has no knees, is not very posable. He can't really balance well when you put his missiles over his shoulders. And yeah, this little guy has a lot of problems for a design and character that I really liked in the show. But Cybertron Defense Scattershot does not disappoint. He represents the character well. He's a big upgrade in terms of size, posability, and everything else. So in terms of posability, he's got pretty much full range of motion with his arms, as much as these giant rocket launchers allow, which again, it's a lot considering how big they are. So his arms go out that much. He's got some bicep swivel, but the rocket launchers get in the way. He can straighten out his arms like that to hold them out and to hold his redundant gun out. So he might not have total full range of posability in his arms, but he's got all he needs, in my opinion, to strike some great poses with his giant weapons. He's also got a waist swivel, which is really nice, and he's got a pretty solid range of motion in his legs, including, because of his transformation, he kind of has a little bit of foot bending action there. And I've taken away his guns here to showcase another part of what makes him my favorite. So as if his gun and his giant missile launchers weren't enough, when you activate his cyber key power, which I'm doing with a guitar pick because I don't have a cyber key with me, you get even more weapons. So on his left arm, you get these rocket launchers, I guess, which come out like this, and then you slide this piece down, and then they stick out like that, and they launch when you press these buttons on the side. So you've got rockets there, and I guess this is like a scope that he can't possibly see because they're on the other side of his gigantic arm, but it's a cool detail. And on his right arm, you get this giant rifle-looking thing that sticks out. And so yeah, I just love how completely overkill this guy's weapons are. A lot of my favorite figures are ones who just have absolutely ridiculous arsenal on them. And of course, you get a missile firing gimmick here on the left arm that is completely not intrusive or anything. It's just there for fun if you want to have that, which I love when there's gimmicks like that that are not intrusive to the toy whatsoever, or at least don't feel like it. One detail I really like is how the piece that pops out for these guns on his left arm kind of has a little handle looking thing that fits right into his hand. So if you lift it up, you can see it's not really long enough to actually go inside his hand, but it just falls into place to make it look like he's holding onto it, which is a really nice detail. In terms of his vehicle mode, it should be pretty obvious based on his giant rocket arms that it was going to look something like this with giant rockets on top. And his vehicle mode is not mind-blowing, but it's definitely not bad either. It's pretty clean from all angles. There's no kibble anywhere or anything like that. It's very solid, very sturdy. It rolls fairly well for having fake treads and being what it is. The only thing that might leave something to be desired in his vehicle mode is the fact that when you lift up his missiles, like if he was going to shoot into the air, then everything here gets exposed. So you can see his head back there, and over here is just basically a giant gap. I would have liked to see them try to fill that in, but otherwise his vehicle mode is perfectly satisfactory in my opinion. I like it enough that it doesn't detract from his robot mode or stop him from being one of my favorite figures. Also, an interesting note is that he has mini-con ports here on the side, which some figures in Cybertron had them, some didn't. But in my opinion, it's always a plus when they have them, because then you can plug in a mini-con, because why not? So there he is with Leader 1 plugged into one side, just to give him some extra firepower as if this guy needed it, and you could plug one there and on the other side as well. And this is something that I don't know if I knew before, but I just tried and it worked, because I was wondering where you could store his gun, and it looks like his gun has a peg that fits the minicon port. So you can just store his gun on the side of his vehicle mode like that. So even more firepower if you don't have another minicon to attach to the other side. So I guess that's part of the reason why he has a minicon port. So his ridiculous arsenal of weapons, his solid posability, and his overall great design and how much of an upgrade he is from the original Scattershot toy are all the reasons why Cybertron Defense Scattershot is one of my favorite figures.